this video I'm going to make Rockler's mini 30 caliber bolt action. It turns out to be 4 inches long. Takes a 3/8 inch drill bit, and I used a acrylic blank, resin blank. Turned out really nice. It's a very simplistic pin to put together. There's really only two press ends, the nib and then the top transmission right there, where it has the bolt action, and then of course the pin itself, but fairly easy to put together. The blank I cut, and the next thing to do is to mark it, get it ready for the drill press, and again using a brad point on the drill press. I can always tell if these blanks are good or not so good by how it drills, and we'll see this one turned out pretty good. You can start, there's no chipping. You can see the ribbons of the acrylic are going up the flute, and no small pieces, a lot of ribbon on it, which means it should turn about the same. I've always seen that if it turns out well drilling, no chips on the bottom, everything turned out good, it'll turn really well. So let's get it glued up and get it in preparation. I did a little different view on this. I don't think it turned out as well as when I do the overhead shots. My right hand is, I think, too much in the way. But sanded the tube down and then got ready to epoxy it. Use the scale, once again, plastic cup, popsicle stick. Put the epoxy in first. I usually put 7 to 9 grams in there, and then the hardener goes in next. Again, 7 to 9. Mix it up really well. Easy to do with the popsicle stick. It gets the bottom part scraped in. The sides you can scrape pretty easy with it. Pretty easy to mix up. Just make sure it's mixed up really well, and then we'll get it on the tube. Guck it up pretty good. It's easy to wipe it off, then have to add some later or get a blowout. So pretty easy. Pop it in there, wipe it off. Got some denatured alcohol on a rag. Wipe the ends off, make sure there's nothing in the tube, and then I set it up on a little board block and wait for it to get hollow. This is sped up quite a bit. It turns really dark yellow, gets really hot in your hand, you can't hold it. So it's doing the same thing in the tube. What I usually do is I'll wait, and you can test the cup and the popsicle stick out to see if it hardens simply by, can you get the popsicle stick out? So once it hardens, once you can touch the cup, I'll go sand it, but then I'll wait several hours at least, and usually the next day before I start turning it. Just want to ensure that it hardens up and adheres to everything correctly. So once it gets done, again, you can go and just smack it around, feel it if it's warm, still warm. But it's an easy way to tell if it sets up properly or not. So then I take it over into the disc sander and kind of sneak up on it, turn it as much as I can to keep it square. Keep checking it. You want to just make sure you touch the brass to get it shiny and no further. With a lot of the pins, if you get it too short, the end of the pin will stick out way too long. So again, just kind of rotate it around, slowly sand it. You can see the brass showed up there, and there. So get it on the lathe and start turning it. I used a carbide tip, semi-radius, and I didn't have it sped up enough. And get it going again here, and the speed takes care of it. But it starts turning pretty good. The chips are not big at all. And then once it turns down to round, it starts really, there you can see it start curling up and getting longer. It was a very easy blank to turn. Turned out really nice. You can see some of the edges still up, popping out. But once you get the edges past, then you can start getting it down. And then I start using my round once the edges are off of it. And you can see it's wisping off really well, coming off good. And then just whittling it down to the bushings. You can see the large ribbons starting to come off of it once it gets real round and starts being able to bite into it quite a bit. Again, it was a good blank. I can always tell when I drill if they're going to be good or not. This one turned out to be really nice. You can see a lot of wisp on it, which is really a good blank there. But again, just whittling it down, nice and easy. Taking time, don't try to take big old chunks out of it, just move it down. Again, sneak up on everything. And yeah, it gets a bunch of wisps. But it's getting down now, so I'm taking real light passes on it. Try to get it as smooth as possible so I don't have to sand so much. My tendency used to be is to get it down as quickly as possible. Problem is I had to wind up sanding more and more. So that turned out really smooth, and so I get ready to do some sanding on it. And I start out with 320, I think is what it was. And in sanding, I just use light circular motions with it. And once I get it to where it's smooth with no lines in it, then I'll go to the next one, make sure the edges are. Sometimes you have to get the edges a little bit. I'll take denatured alcohol to make sure the dust and everything is off of it. And then I think this one was probably 400 maybe. Again, just make sure that it's smoothed down. And then go with the grain or lateral on the resin blanks. Again, a little denatured alcohol, make sure all the dust is off of it. And then 600 went up to. Finished it off. You can actually see the blank starting to come out just a little bit with the 600. But again, light circular touches. Make sure all the lines are out of it and that it's smoothed out. And then lateral, make sure if there are any lines that you get them out with the lateral sanding, nice and smooth. Blank turned out really well. I don't remember where I got this blank. I don't remember if I got it from Rockler. I probably did since the kit was there, but I also might have had this at Woodcraft. I've been collecting a lot of blanks lately, so it could have come from either one. And then I put a cover down on the lathe to protect it, and then I start the light micro mesh sanding on it. And I'm not going to bore you with all of it. But again, even with the micro sanding, I go lateral after doing the regular micro mesh on it. And again, I put a little denatured alcohol to make sure even the slurry that you have with that is off. And then polishing, I think I did 3 or 4 polishes on it. But again, just work the polish in, get a little hot. And the blank itself, the color on it is really turning out nice. Had some wisp of white in there with it also. So it popped up pretty good. Just polish it down, make sure you get the friction and get a little heat on it. You can see the white part of it mixed in there a little bit. So again, the putting it together is relatively easy, just the 2 parts. Sit there and try to decide where I want the blank to look and where I want it to be. The nib is actually the 30 caliber part of the bullet on the bottom end, the nib, but the bushing's already in it. You just push it in. There's no need for an extra bushing, so the whole thing goes in. I put a little bit of painter's tape, blue tape, on the clip to make sure I don't scratch the acrylic or the resin blank. I may not, but it's easier to put that on and take it off than look and see where the scratch was. And certainly do it on the wood. I think the wood is probably more susceptible to the scratches than the acrylic is. But I lined it up kind of where I wanted it to be. Again, just put it in. The press has a little indentation in the plastic to where the nib can go, and just a nice smooth press right in. And there it is. Take the blue tape off of it. The bullet part, or the 30 caliber part, is where it unscrews so you can put the refill in, and then just slides right up to the bolt action. So screw it in and it's ready to go. Nice brass. And then the bolt action turns out kind of neat. So it's a pretty neat little pin to turn out. Again, it's about 4 inches long, so it's a mini, little stubby, but the bolt action is kind of neat. It kind of spring loads going back, so you don't have to push it going back. Nice blank, turned out really good. Really pleased with it. Again, you can kind of see the white flake in it, in the blank a little bit with the orange stripe. So it kind of offset it pretty good. I think the orange kind of went with the brass a little bit. But again, turned out good. Appreciate y'all stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the like bell, and there's more videos to come. So please keep in touch.